Erie. It's Monday, May 19th. Welcome back to another Flagship City Sports Talk brought to you by Quick Fill. It's been a while since I've done that.
I'm just glad that you're back. I didn't have to scramble and put a show together this morning. I don't know how you do it every week. I get anxiety on Sunday night. I'm usually by the end of the show, I'm always like, oh, that was bad. That wasn't bad. I did it. You get through it. But I don't know. Monday morning comes and I'm just like, I've never done this before.
Fake it till you make it, buddy. Fake it till you make it. Last night I'm laying in bed like, okay, we got to do this. We got to do this. I haven't done this for a while. Do I have this ready to go? And I'm going through all these things. So yeah, but it happens the same week every week, and it gets crazy.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun to be here.
Your presence is calming is what I'm saying.
Well, I'll take that. And it's been fun, too, just being able to, sit back and listen to you guys for a change. So taking some pointers from you guys as well.
Oh, good. I hope we gave you some pointers.
But
Here's
last week,
what not to do.
But last week was crazy. I was actually listening to the show when we were, my wife had surgery on Monday. So I was over at St. Vincent and sitting in the surgery waiting room and was listening to you guys, which was fun. And then, so everything went well. Surgery went great. She's fine. Doctor comes in right after the surgery. It's right before lunch. Says, hey, she did great. She'll be out in a couple hours. Go get something to eat, and you can meet her up in the room. Great. So I go over to the lunchroom, and the doctor is there. The guy who just had his hands inside my wife's body doing surgery is now eating lunch. I'm like, I'm not hungry anymore. I can't sit next to him. Like, what am I going to say? Oh, so what do you have?
Yeah.
No, it's just, I was like, this is crazy. I don't know how these people do this, but big props to the team at St. Vincent and the hospital and stuff like that. It was a really good experience. So
I'd love to hear that.
You guys carried me through the anxiety of my Monday morning.
Good, happy to help.
I could be angry at you guys and not her.
Yeah,
no, it was more jealousy. I really missed being on the show. So it was good to be back, and we got a lot of stuff we want to get into today.
Tons of stuff.
You're not here to talk about me. You're here about me. You're here to talk some sports. And what we're going to do is we got a lot of local D10 stuff to cover. So let's go ahead and, you know what, Paula, you are our resident track and field expert. So let's jump into the North Shore Rewind, and let's talk about the District 10 track meets. We had records shattered in several different events over the weekend. In both the boys and girls districts held down at Slippery Rock over the weekend. Standout performances, emotional victories, unfortunate injuries, multiple meet records across those 2 days at SRU, and really just kind of setting the stage for the upcoming PIAA state meet. So, Paul, you were down there. Who did you see? What are some players or teams that stood out to you over the weekend?
So very individual sport. So team-wise, the team points, it's important from a coaching perspective. Sure. But me, I don't really care. Like track is great. You can have a great day and the rest of the team not so great.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah. I did well.
Yeah.
You can do not so well and everybody else does great, and then you can say, well, I was on a good team.
Yeah.
But I focus more on the individual athletes, and we had some incredible performances on a wild weather day. I went down with a T-shirt and shorts on. By the middle of the day, I had switched to long sleeves and put on a pair of sweatpants.
Yeah.
It started pouring, and then by the time I left, I was sweating, had to take the sweatpants off, put the T-shirt back on. It was a wild day. Had some great performances, and I see your list, you've got 6 or 7. I've got 10 people listed here. So I'm just going to try to...
So today's show is going to be 3 hours
I was going to say,
long.
this is just a track show. So I tried to pare this down to people who are ranked well in the state. We're getting some heat sheets out this morning from the PIAA. So here's a couple of District 10 athletes who are actually ranked in the top. I have the lowest here is 4th in the state. And I'm going to start with Vinny Feliciano. We've talked about him quite a bit.
The Don.
Won the boys AA 100-meter and 200-meter dash. He's actually ranked first in the state in the 100-meter dash, 10.72.
And didn't you say at one point this is his first year running track?
This is his second, so he's a sophomore. He was part of a record-breaking 4x1 team last year, and I went back and looked at the names, and he was the only one whose name I didn't know last year. He was a team of studs, and he was like the low man on the totem pole. And look at him this year.
Now he's the Don.
And now he's the Don. So he had a great day, only a sophomore. Blake Cook, junior from Corey, again, spectacular day, won the 110-meter high hurdles. He's going to be second at the state with the time of 14.41. That is not nearly his best.
Yeah.
So he should. there's a very good chance he takes gold at states. Also won the 300 intermediate hurdles, 37.97. Once again, that's first in the state.
Yeah.
That's again the fastest time I've ever seen anybody run it in person. And I told you before the show I wanted to share the story.
Yeah.
I talked to him afterward because that's what my kids run. Is I'm the hurdles coach. I talked to him afterward. I just said, hey man, like incredible run. I saw you at Oil City. That was the fastest I've ever seen. Did you know you're tied with the kid just outside of Philadelphia for fastest time in the state? And he goes, oh, yeah, that kid's insane. And I was like, well, bud, I don't know if you knew this, but that also makes you insane. And he ran even faster on Saturday. So, again, only a junior. He's going to be back next year. I think a lot of people are talking about Nolan Carey, the Corey senior.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't break the javelin record as he was expected to. It was a windy day.
Sure.
And I heard a lot of people say
and the wind at Slippery Rock is so bizarre.
And it was sideways. So
Yep.
you'd throw it up, and I had a couple kids tell me, yeah, I had a great, form, and it felt good, and it went up in the air and just nosedive sideways. So he had a throw of 192 feet and 11 inches. He is still seated first in the state by nearly a foot. And I'll finish with this one so you can actually talk on your radio show. Fort LaBeouf sophomore Casey Rozalewski, he won the long jump. Another sophomore, 22 feet, 8.5 inches. That is tops in PA.
Can you do in javelin, throw like I play golf, just play your slice? Can you just play into the wind and it'll curve back around?
You know what? It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. I think you can probably change. No, I was not a jav guy.
Yeah.
I think you could probably change your aim point as you come out of the throw and sort of attempt to use the wind as much as you can to your advantage, which I'm sure a lot of them did.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm. You got people seated all along the side of this thing, so I don't think I'm going to aim for the crowd and just hope we get a gust.
I don't know. This might be kind of fun. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. Hey, let's talk about some of the girls athletes at this track as well. I mean, you had Megan Paleo from Meadville sets a new 3A girls 1,600 meter record, 4 minutes 58 seconds.
Ugh.
A sub
5 minute mile.
Are you kidding me?
I watched it. Yep.
I don't think
she won by 150 meters.
I think at my peak in high school, which is not a peak, it was most people's valleys, but I think I could have sprinted a 400, times it by 4, and still not been sub 5 minute. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's a minute 25 or a minute 15 400, which probably would have placed in the open four.
Oh my
incredible.
Gosh. And also, by the way, wins the 800 at 2 minutes 17 seconds.
Yep.
Brenna Cool, this is a great story, and this is somebody we're going to keep our eye on over the next couple of years because a freshman out of Seneca runs 56.67 in the 2A girls 400 meter, breaking a 10-year-old district record. Also helped win the 1600 relay, that record from per Go Erie as well. So that, I mean, you got two big runners off the top, but how important is it for a freshman to contribute?
Important
or to win, I guess. I mean,
it's incredible. As a coach, I had a great freshman this year.
Yeah.
I don't look at freshmen and go, well, that's my ace in the hole. Go out there and win the whole dang thing. I think if you get a good making districts as a freshman is truly incredible.
Yeah.
Winning districts at freshman is even more incredible. Shattering a record as a freshman, you just look at it and go, wow, that's. I mean. How what is her ceiling? Are we looking at a future Division I track athlete?
Yeah.
I mean, it's trending that way.
Yep.
We'll see how things go. Now, I will say the freshman Malashevsky, I can't remember her first name at the moment, won states as a freshman last year, 100-meter hurdles for the girls from Northeast. She was not there this year. Now, she suffered an injury, hamstring injury, probably middle of April, early April. So it's kind of one of those. Track is you're right at the edge of your athletic limitation.
Yeah.
And those they're like Italian sports cars. Very very finicky. When everything's right, you're going good, but the littlest thing that's off, and it can tank your season.
A hitch in your giddy up, so to speak.
A hitch in the giddy up, yes. She had a great day. I do want to mention Sharon, now a little bit outside of our coverage area, but Sharon sophomore Andrea Young, she won both the hurdles events. She's going to be seated first in the state in the highs. fourth in the state in the 300s.
One more quick shout out before we break. Alina Urbanowicz from Fort LaBeouf won
great one.
3A girls titles, the 100, 200, and 400. And, oh, by the way, picked up a silver in the 400. So a lot of
.01.
A lot of crap. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
A lot of good track and field players heading to states. We'll keep an eye on that. Hey, when we get back, we're going to be previewing baseball softball playoffs for D10. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. You know, track is one of those sports, if you missed it, we just covered the track and field D10 meet over the weekend, and I've never been much of a track guy. I didn't really go to a lot of meets in high school, and, you know, if you're not watching the stream, I'm not a runner. So it was never something I got into. My daughter, who's in first grade, started track this year, and it is probably one of my favorite sports to watch right now. And I don't know if it's because it's new or if it's because it's just a bunch of little kids throwing a big dart or, you know, or the chaos that is the 400. But a lot of fun for me this year on the track, which you're no stranger to.
It's sort of the same thing as wrestling. It's very individual. So you can be a fan of a team and like just enjoy everybody, but even if your team is not great, you can find individual athletes that just wow you.
I think that's really important for kids too. Not to go off on a parenting sports moment here for a second, but like team sports are great, you know, baseball, football, soccer, but I think like a cross country, a track and field, a golf, where yes, you have team-based standings, but it's still very individualized, and you still have that team atmosphere of running together, competing, but it's not you're letting the team down if you're not playing as well. That can put a lot of pressure on some kids. But it's been a lot of fun. You know, I used to love like Pee-wee hockey when you go to the Otters games and they'd have like the little Pee-wee hockey and all the players in the big hockey. And then you have the same thing with like Pee-wee football, but Pee-wee track, man, it's so much fun watching these kids try to jab and shot put, and people are running the 100 like, hi, waving and saying, hi, mom. So it's a lot of fun. But track and field aside, let's get into some baseball and softball games to watch in the first round of the playoffs as the D10 tournament starts this week. Let's jump back into the North Shore Rewind. District 10's baseball and softball playoffs begin this week, featuring top seeds like Mercyhurst Prep and Cathedral Prep, and then also features some standouts such as Drew Cockler and Gabby DeLuca looking to lead title pushes. Now, the D10 baseball and softball playoffs begin today, quarterfinals and semifinals across all classes leading up to the May 26 finals. In 6A, though, the baseball and softball championships are already set just because of the size of the class. Two teams. Right. McDowell and Erie in both.
Yep.
Softball is May 19th at Penn State Barron, and baseball May 21st at Mercyhurst. Both are going to be great games. But let's start. I'm just going to go down through these. We're going to highlight, you know, a matchup in the first round that we really like for all of the classes in baseball and softball. And let's start in single A. This semifinal matchup happens on May 22nd. It's Rocky Grove versus West Middlesex. Again, maybe a little bit outside of our coverage area, but you have two players in this game that are going to be fun to watch. And the first is Kyle Gilson from West Middlesex.
Yes.
He's got 88 strikeouts this year with a 2.12 ERA. He's also hitting 466, one of the best double players, offense, defensive side.
Yeah.
Players that you see in the league right now. And then you have Preston Keith from Rocky Grove, who's batting 387, 17 RBIs. This is gonna be a close matchup here in Single A, and I'm gonna give the edge to Rocky Grove. They're coming in as the underdog, so to speak, the 4 seed against the number 1 seed West Middlesex. But you know me, I'm always looking for an upset, so I like Rocky Grove there. Let's jump to 2A because we're getting a little closer.
I've got one on that game, actually, if you don't mind.
No.
Just because you brought up the name, my opening point in this for this segment was it's incredible to see how many legit arms we have in District 10 this year.
Yes.
And you mentioned Gilson from West Middlesex. I had him up there with that Jarrett Turledge from Northeast.
Oh, my gosh. We'll talk about him in a second.
Oben Raider from Sagertown in softball. DeLuca, you mentioned from McDowell. The mound talent is absolutely carrying this postseason narrative. So I think it's interesting. I was going to pose the question, what's more important to you, the bats or the pitchers when we get to the postseason? So you took the bats of Rocky Grove. I took the pitching of West Middlesex. So already we're kind of on the opposite sides of that juxtaposition there.
I think I'm always going to look to the pitching side. I think that this is going to have that pitching duel, but I think anytime you have a standout pitcher, and I mean, this is true for the majors as well, unless you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll talk about that too. But
do we have to? No, I'm kidding.
But it's a pitcher at the high school level and college level can take over a game.
Yes, exactly.
I remember playing in high school, and we had this guy who was like a late round pick to the Braves, throwing 90-mile-an-hour fastballs in high school.
Yeah.
I could put the bat out there and never hit it. Like, it would just not happen. So I think a good pitcher can really change the game and take over a game in the high school level. Let's jump to 2A, quarterfinals,
Okay.
May 19th. Union City versus Greenville. Brandon Stubert from Greenville is batting 500. If you don't know what that means, if you bat a 300, you get into the Hall of Fame in the MLB. That's good. 16 RBIs. Tight matchup here, but I'm going to go Greenville just because of Stubert's clutch bat, I think, is going to be the difference maker in this one.
I wrote down the same thing. I had Stubert. His bat is the difference maker.
Yep. Now, I don't think this is going to matter because in 2A, Mercyhurst Prep sits atop the standings. Mercyhurst Prep this year has been unbelievable. All right?
Yeah.
I can absolutely see them just running this tournament. They are, I'm losing my notes here, sitting at number 1, obviously, in their region, Region 4.
Perfect conference record, 19-1 overall.
Absolutely.
Top seed in AA.
And you have
9-game home winning streak.
My gosh, it's crazy. And you have like 4 or 5 players batting over 400.
Yeah.
So you have the hitting. You got 4 pitchers. 1, 2, 3. My math is wrong. 3 pitchers with over 40 strikeouts. So, a 2.0 ERA is the highest ERA on the team. This team is stacked from pitching to defense, and I think not only are they going to make this playoff run in the districts, I think they're going to make a deep playoff run come states. We'll keep our eye on
I
that.
agree with you on that, and the beautiful thing about it is that team is not just loaded down with seniors. Now, there's some seniors contributing, but the 2 pitchers that you mentioned, a couple of juniors, Krzyzewski and Cray, class of 2026.
Yeah.
And Cray, by the way, at ERA, 0.77.
That's good. That's good.
It's very good.
I think that pitching will carry them through the 2A title.
Yeah.
All right, in 3A, we got Northeast versus Sharon. You mentioned Jarek Turledge. He leads D10 in both strikeouts and home runs. He may be the most valuable player heading into the playoffs. Jumping into 4A, we got Hickory versus Harbor Creek. This is going to be a tight game. I could really see this going both ways, but I do expect Harbor Creek to ride their pitching into the semis at least. 6A, McDowell Erie. This is going to be close. You have Jake Hauer from McDowell batting 362, Chase Benedict from Erie with a 2.27 ERA. That matchup is going to be fun to watch. I think Erie may have the pitching edge, but McDowell has a better depth, and I think they're gonna really take this one.
If there was going to be an upset, Erie over McDowell, would you think it's in baseball or softball?
Softball. And we'll talk about that.
Interesting.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right. No, I take that back. I can't bet against Gabby DeLuca. Baseball.
I was just going to say.
I can't bet against
I'm
DeLuca.
not. It's baseball for me.
Single A softball semifinals May 21st. Cambridge Springs, Rocky Grove. Rocky Grove enters as a sneaky underdog, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Cochranton versus Wilmington is who I like in 2A. You got Danielle Hoffman and Avery Harlan, Danielle Hoffman from Cochranton and Avery Harlan from Wilmington. Both just can hit the ball and not
fireworks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. 3A, Cathedral Prep versus Northwestern. This is going to be closer. Cathedral Prep is ranked as the underdog here in this tournament. I do expect them to overpower Northwestern. I think Prep has been an up and down team this year, but I'm never going to count out a Prep softball team.
I agree.
4A, Harbor Creek Meadville. This one's a slugfest waiting to happen. I'm going to give edge to Meadville in this one. And then you mentioned it, the 6A championship for softball, McDowell versus Erie. Gabby DeLuca, 174 strikeouts, a 567 batting average with 8 home runs. May be the most dominant pitcher-hitter combo in the district. And I'm not even talking about softball. I'm talking about softball and baseball.
Best player at the stadium. Erie's depth, though, gives me cause for pause, but give me Gabby DeLuca.
Yep, I like it. All right, you ready for a 2-minute drill?
Let me scroll up to it, and yes.
I'll let you get back to your notes. So congratulations to all the baseball players, softball players heading out. There's a lot of great games this week. Get out and watch some ball. Ready?
Ready. Gannon University's Kyle Westfall has won the NCAA Elite 90 Award at the 2025 Division II Men's Golf Championships. Erie native and electrical engineering major holds a 4.0 GPA and becomes the 4th Golden Knight to claim the honor, which recognizes the top GPA at each NCAA championship site. Gannon Men's Golf is making its 4th NCAA Division II National Championship appearance in 5 years this week in Florida. The Knights tied for first at the Atlantic East Regional and tee off today at PGA National. Edinburgh's Stanislas Noel was named PSAC Men's Tennis Player of the Year after going 5-0 in league play and winning 15 straight singles matches. Travis Myler earned Coach of the Year, guiding the Scots to a 5th consecutive PSAC title and NCAA berth. Edinburgh faces UT Tyler Tuesday at noon. Penn State Barron men's baseball went 1-2 at the NCAA Division III Regional, highlighted by a 14-3 win over Manchester. Daniel Baum homered twice with 4 RBIs, and Colin Bola struck out 12 for his 7th win. Barron totaled 34 hits on the day, but fell to number 2 Keystone 11-5 to end their season at 31-11. The Erie Seawolves concluded the week with a series win over the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Great name. On Saturday, Troy Melton delivered 3 scoreless innings before exiting due to injury. Carlos Mendoza contributed 2 hits, including a double, and scored 3 runs. The bullpen, featuring R.J. Pettit, Jordan Marks, Dylan Smith, and Troy Watson, combined for 6 shutout innings. Sunday's game saw Max Anderson go 3 for 5 with a double and 2 ribbies, while Eduardo Valencia added a home run. Roberto Campos also homered in the game, and Elizer Alfonso provided a go-ahead RBI during the 9th inning. The bullpen, led by Tim Naughton and Drew Summers, secured the 7-4 victory. Seawolves now hold a 25-14 record, tying them for first place in the Southwest Division. And let me say one last thing. Gannon University Athletic Director Lisa Goddard McGurk is stepping down after 11 years at the school. Under her leadership, Gannon earned back-to-back PSAC Dixon trophies, a number 19 national finish in 2024, and currently sits 12th in the 2025 Leader Directors Cup.
Yeah, congratulations to her in her future endeavors. It's going to be, she's got big things coming. So she's been a pleasure to work with, getting athletes and coaches and things like that. So that's a tough one to see go. The Seawolves, minor league baseball may have some of the best team names I've ever heard in my life.
Fantastic.
The Akron Rubber Ducks are probably my favorite.
Yeah, I agree. Rumble Ponies, Sea Wolves, Flying Squirrels. We're in a hotbed for awesome names.
I like
right
it.
Here.
I like it. No, the Seawolves are great. We're hoping to get Sam Lebowitz back on here soon, too. We can catch up on some Seawolves action. Hoping to get out a game. It'd be fun to get out to a game and do a live broadcast. Keep an eye on the Gem City Sports Network.
Let's just wait for the sun to come out.
Oh, yeah, the sun to come out. By the way, it's going to be 57 today. It's a perfect baseball weather. Can't wait to go to a track meet.
I had to turn my heat on yesterday again. I had it off. I was like, I'm done.
I refuse. Put on some blankets, kids.
Fair.
All right, before we take our next break, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors: Quick Fill, Dauber Auto Supply, John Wildwood Pizza, Denny's Sales and Service. Without them, we wouldn't be here for you. When we get back, we're going to be overreacting to some sports topics. Overreaction Monday coming your way when we get back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill.
For many
Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Listen, it's no secret on this show. I like to make fun of Cleveland. It makes me feel good, okay? It makes me feel good. I don't know what it is. You know, you grow up in Pittsburgh. You don't really have a choice. Steelers, Penguins, Pirates. It's a religion.
What basketball team do you root for?
I don't.
Okay.
And I've gone over this. I think we talked about this on the show. A buddy of mine, one of my best friends, is from Cleveland, and we've had this conversation. Can I be a Cavs fan if he can be a Pens fan? And we kind of agreed in the end.
See, that makes sense to me. No?
No, it's like a city thing.
Okay. I mean, like, making fun of the Guardians, making fun of the Browns. Like, I get that. that makes sense. You have a team to root against them directly with.
Sure. No, you know what? And honestly, maybe if I liked basketball, I don't know, But I've griped about. I love watching basketball, but I have so many gripes about the game, the flow, the way it's played, the players,
the way the game has changed. There's NBA, a discussion to be had there.
Yeah, NBA is driving me crazy, but I'll watch the entire March Madness tournament. College is a completely different conversation. But to come back full circle and not necessarily make fun of Cleveland, although we're going to talk about the Cavs here in a second, because we're going to spend the next 2 segments and do some Overreaction Monday.
Noises!
All right, so our first Overreaction Monday topic. Blow it up. The Cavs title window has already closed.
Wow. That's a big statement.
I mean, I predicated it with my Cleveland hate, so I'm coming in with a little bit of bias, but the Cavs won 64 games, had one of the deepest, healthiest rosters in the league, and still got bounced in the second round.
Let's put a little asterisk
in regular season. Okay, I'll give you that one.
Yes.
But with the worst defensive rating of any team left in the playoffs and a $57 million in luxury tax penalties looming, has Cleveland already peaked?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the 64-win regular season, I think year one of Coach Kenny Atkinson, the number 1 seed, if you were to tell me these things back in late summer, early fall, right before the NBA season, that, hey, the Cavs are going to win 64 games and be the number 1 seed in the East, but they're not going to win the championship, I'd be like, oh, great, really? Are you kidding me? That's incredible. Watching the season as it progressed and gone through, they overachieved for year one with the new head coach.
That's fair.
So I don't think this is their peak at all. I think this is the last time we'll see the roster constructed the way it was.
Yeah.
But with the players intact, I think it was an overachievement as opposed to an underachievement. I don't think they should have won 64 games.
I agree.
I don't think they really should have been the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Again, coming into the season, this is a very, very good basketball team.
Yeah.
Got bounced in the second round last year, got bounced in the second round this year. So they improved in regular season, but sort of the core, we know what the core is. I think they need to change the core.
And you mentioned the injury, the injuries, that's tough
in
to
the playoffs.
overcome,
Yeah.
right. And I mean,
Defensive player of the year, and he's hardly a factor.
Right. And
Jared Allen plays all 82 games, and then he plays almost nothing in that second round series. Garland's playing on 1 foot. As is Donovan Mitchell. He's playing with 1 leg, essentially.
Yeah.
In a very, very physical series that they just weren't used to the physicality.
No, well, and against a tough defensive Indiana Pacer team, too. Like, give credit where credit is due. You know, I do worry about their defense collapsing. They were ranked 8th in the regular season, but worst of the final 8 in the postseason. I think a lot of that comes down to playing time and the people that are that were injured. You lost some defensive.
Just stylistically, they're very, very good in the low post, but in the playoffs, you need to be able to stretch. And they just you take for Ohio out of it, and who's their 5th and 6th and 7th guy?
Right, Ty Jerome. Set to hit the market this offseason, though.
Guy who's super overachieved. I hope he makes a bunch of money. I'd like him to stay in Cleveland. How much is Cleveland going to offer him? How much does he want to just, listen, NBA careers are short. Make my money now?
Yeah.
Or does he stay in Cleveland, take a little bit less, and just, do it for the land? I'm going to make a little bit less money, but I think we can make a run here. It's going to be interesting.
My guess is he'll cash it in. I mean, ESPN has
And how can you blame him?
No, I can't at all. I mean, give me an $80 million paycheck. I'll do whatever you want me to do. But
I'll switch radio shows mid-show if you give me more money elsewhere. Listen, I get it.
But I mean, it's I don't know that I haven't looked at the cap numbers, but I don't know that Cleveland can even afford that. And I mean, then you're sacrificing. Okay, let's say you do pay him the $80 million contract, the multi-year contract. Then you're sacrificing depth or future flexibility.
Right.
God forbid he gets injured. Then you're kind of really putting yourself in a hole. So that's a tough situation. are Garland and Mitchell redundant? Garland is extension eligible for $128 million, was banged up in the playoffs, like you said. Is it something you really want to hang your hat on? I mean, is the injury bug real? Is he injury prone, or is it too similar of a player to Mitchell that you're just going to maybe not worry about it, but then you get another year out of him?
Yeah.
So, and then the luxury tax strangulation, I'm not a finance guy. I don't necessarily understand the luxury tax in basketball. So send me an email, whatever you want to do to maybe put that out. But that appears to be a big issue here as well. And then you have Mobley, Hunter, Allen, and Strus, right? Is that a core or just a collection of players? They seemed to play well in the regular season. Was it injuries or did that team chemistry? Really, if you go back and look at those games, I wouldn't say they played great team ball. You had some stars and studs that would step up in certain games, but in terms of like team play, I'm just not sure that was there. So I worry about all of that stuff coming into next year, in terms of can they do it? If 64 wins in a healthy roster can't get you past the Pacers, and I know they had some injury concerns there in the playoffs, is the core really built for a title run?
It's an interesting question. I was on, and I'm going to go back, beginning of the season. If you would have told me that Garland and Mitchell were going to play as well together as they did under the new coach, I would have said, hey, that's fantastic. I think, obviously, Mitchell is your ace in the hole. The guy can't go anywhere. He's locked in. Garland, I thought, was a luxury piece. I thought it was a very ball-dominant luxury piece. So I was a little concerned about that. Both those guys did an excellent job. Excellent job of being ball dominant, but knowing when to share the basketball. I think the second, the core that you mentioned, Mobley, Hunter, Allen, Strus, I think 2 of those 4 are gone. Yeah, I think you need to basically trade 2 of those 4 for a third guard, and hope that he has as much effect, if not a little bit more, than even Ty Jerome.
Yeah, well, and if you trade a piece like Jared Allen or Max Strus, you escape some of that luxury tax trap that you could fall into as well.
Now, I don't worry about team owners' finances. I don't. Spend as much money as it takes. If you're going to own a team, and this kind of almost transitions us into the Pirates talk, but if you're going to own a team, you've got money, man.
Yeah.
Spend the money.
Yeah.
The NBA is not like the NFL. It's not like Major League Baseball. You're allowed to spend this money. You're allowed to spend up to this much money, and then there's an asterisk at the end, unless you want to spend more, because you can. So go ahead and spend the money.
Yeah.
Win. Every year's a new year. Win that year.
Sure.
And, okay, we spent a whole bunch of money last year and didn't win. Well, spend it again this year. Try again, because that's the whole point of money when you own a sports team.
Okay, so you mentioned an owner should spend money. So let's transition to our next topic.
Yes.
Next overreaction topic. The Pittsburgh Pirates are already doomed for 2025. It's time to trade Paul Skeens and rebuild again. The Pirates should cut their losses. I mean, they are a dumpster fire right now. They are 15-32, and yes, there's 100 and some game, 162 games that are going to be yet to be played. But they're sitting 13 games back in the NL Central. They're the 3rd worst record in the MLB. They're a hot mess. Their offense is historically anemic, ranking dead last in runs scored. And now we'll find out tomorrow, but they could be hit with a gut punch of Jared Jones facing a setback in his elbow recovery, probably missing all of 25 and beyond if the rumor is Tommy John surgery. So now you're taking one of your aces out, and your offense can't play. Skeens threw a complete game last night, allowed one hit, and they still didn't win the game.
It's incredible.
That's bad. So they're not going to spend the money.
Nope.
Right? You have low payroll, low hope, Bob Nutting's cheap ownership, and no multi-year free agent signing since 2016 fuels fan despair. Not to mention, did you catch all of the Memorial Brick controversy?
What was that about?
They just
even if they're going to rebuild it elsewhere, don't you put out a press release? Hey, we're going to deconstruct it now, and we're going to move it over here, and all that investment that just everything they do is dumb.
Who said just throw that out?
Yeah.
Well, so I happen to know that Paul and Shaney Bills had a brick in there.
Really? Oh,
it was older than their marriage, and they were, I guess, still dating or something.
Yeah.
Paul and Shaney could tell you all about it, but when he found out it was gone, it was like, what the heck, Pirates?
I have never met a happy Pirates fan. Never.
No, it doesn't exist. Oh no, I will tell you, my students every year, they are gold glasses over their eyes, Pirates fan. This is the year. I'm like, guys, I've been a fan for 35 years. This is not the year. I hate to tell you.
To be young.
So anyway, let me go back to asking you the question before I went on my rant. Should they just go ahead and trade Paul Skeens, collect a haul for a generational talent, and just try to rebuild? Because the team is, if they react the way they have always reacted, Nutting is not going to spend any more money to put the team around.
I was just going to say, not with the same ownership group. You trade a generational talent to maybe hopefully get a generational talent. That doesn't make any sense. Now, it would if you were actually a team going after it, but they're not.
No.
You can get a haul of picks for him, sure. There are 30 MLB teams. 29 teams would trade for Paul Skeens. But getting rid of him in hopes to find another generational talent, it's just kind of dumb, isn't it?
No, and they won't, because if
they're going to wait till his
trade
contract runs
Skeens-
out, somebody else is going to offer him a huge money deal, and he'll end up playing for the Yankees or something in a couple of years.
Oh, I said it on this show when the minute he was brought up to the Pirates. When's he going to be wearing the pinstripes?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if they're not going to trade him, so again, overreaction, because they're not going to trade him, because at the end of the day, he is the only thing bringing people to the ballpark.
That's it.
So they don't like to spend money. And listen, Mark Madden said this. I heard it on his show, 105.9 The X out of Pittsburgh. Said this on his show 20 years ago. Don't hate the player, hate the game. If you could run a multi-million-dollar profitable business every year, would you keep running it the way you're running it? If you could run your business and make millions of dollars of profit every year, would you do it?
I mean, sure, but
Put sports aside. Could you run your business? Would you keep wanting to run it and make multi-millions of dollars every year?
I mean, yes, but if I could run it shoddily and make a few $1,000,000, or I could run it moderately well and double that, I'm going to do that.
I would say they're running it moderately well in terms of making money, but that's the problem with baseball.
What do you have to do with literally a professional baseball franchise? Unlock the gates and turn the lights on in the stadium. You're going to make money. It doesn't really matter what the product is. Clearly, the Pirates
and
have
the park
proved
is
that.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah,
and people like to go to the park. It's one of the best ballparks in the country.
And even they're trying to screw that up. They took down the Clemente thing. Like, it was. Are you trying to make your fan base mad? I don't know. I don't know how you could even try to run it worse.
But at the end of the day,
what's that show where you got the guys behind the scenes and they tell a guy to do something stupid and they just sit there, Impractical Jokers or something?
Jokers, yeah.
I think that's how the Pirates are being run. Take down the Roberto Clemente side.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
Why?
and then they put it's a PR nightmare. But I still kind of have to blame Major League Baseball for this, because the way Major League Baseball is structured is allowing teams to do this. And I get the Moneyball approach. The A's are looking whatever, but that doesn't always work. That's not like a guaranteed way to go out and win a championship when you have teams like the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, who are paying one player more than the entire Pirates roster.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you expect a team to compete, like a mid-market team like Pittsburgh, to compete? So no, you're not gonna go and trade Skeens. It's not gonna happen, because I
hope not.
I mean, he's such a talent. I would love to see them build somebody around him. As a Pirates fan, yes, sell the team. I mean, I get it. You're making multi-million, and there's even some reports out there. DK Pittsburgh Sports said they did lose money, but then I think it was SI or somebody else did another report and said they did make money. So even that is all muddy. But to me, the Pirates' problem is an MLB problem.
The only place they lost money is their tax return. They're making it hand over fist.
Listen, Skeens is fun. I would love to see the Pirates be competitive. We had playoff baseball there 10 years ago, and the place was nuts. It's such a great park. If you could sneak
Pittsburgh
into the
fans are
postseason.
fantastic, and the only reason the Pirates still have fans is because of the energy that the city of Pittsburgh brings to their sports team.
It's a sports city. It's a sports city.
Yep.
So, I don't know. There's no hope in Pittsburgh until I see it. Sorry, I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon until I see it. Hey, when we get back, we're going to talk some NFL overreactions. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quickfill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. I really want the Pirates to be good. That last segment just made me depressed. I love baseball. I am sweet on baseball in the summer. The Seawolves have carried me the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, at least we've had some good baseball to watch.
Yeah. Guardians, let's, go back to the top of the C block for my Cleveland hate. But, it would just be fun to see the Pirates. Oh, well.
We'll see.
We'll see. Hey, let's keep going with some Overreaction Monday. I got a couple more for you.
Loud noises!
All right. Overreaction. This is the year. No excuses left for Josh Allen and the Bills. They need to win the Super Bowl this year.
That's kind of a two-parter. I think this is the year is an overreaction. I don't think the Bills have the best roster in the NFL. But then you get to the no excuses left. I'm going to go, oh, no, Buffalo will come up with something.
They're already trying. So,
oh, yeah.
Schedule release happened last week.
Yes.
Which is so funny to me. Like, how the NFL turns the release of the schedule into a fan event that
prime
people tune in
time
for?
Television.
Oh, my gosh. I mean...
There were 2 playoff basketball games on that night, and ESPN led with, well, the schedule's coming out today.
I would love to see the ratings on that. I bet the schedule release had higher ratings than the basketball playoffs.
I have no doubt about it.
So, with that, the Bills have the 9th easiest schedule, 5 primetime games, minimal travel, and a roster built for January. I do believe that. I think that their defense, their rebuilt defense, is going to be good this year. But they have to get it done. If they don't reach the Super Bowl this season, then when? We were talking about this in the break. NFL's gift to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Bills travel the second fewest miles in the league. Only 5 road games happen after the bye, and 3 of the final 4 games are within driving distance. Tough matchups: Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, all spaced out. It's a front-loaded spotlight. Mm-hmm. 4 of 5 primetime games come before Week 7. If the Bills stumble out of the gate, man, the entire country is going to be watching. So I just think that their offense performed well. You have Josh Allen in his prime. James Cook may or may not get an extension. They rebuilt that defense to be able to play into January. If you don't win this year, I don't know when. Are we going to see a repeat of the Jim Kelly era?
Well, it's you make some interesting points. The defensive front 7 is absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
The offensive line, I think, is intact. Josh Allen, you said it, is in his prime. You got a running back in his contract here. The receiving core still leaves a little bit to be desired. I know they drafted the one corner. I want to say Morrison. The back end of the secondary still gives me some questions. Are they built for January? I think the NFL gave them all the leeway in the world, giving them 4 out of their last 5 games are at home during the portion of the season where their home field advantage is biggest, in the cold, in the snow, with the fans throwing snowballs at the opposing team. I don't know how that's legal. But yeah, is this the year? Maybe. I'm going to say the same thing that I've said for the last couple of years. I think they'll be there near the end.
Yeah.
Is this the year that Josh Allen finally gets over the hump? I don't know about that.
I mean,
I'll believe it when I see it.
If he can't get the Bills to the Super Bowl, and this is going to come off as a hot take, and maybe it is, but if he can't get the Bills to the Super Bowl with this team and with this schedule, it's time to stop putting him in the same sentence as a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's a great quarterback.
Right.
But we can't act like he's this perennial Hall of Fame MVP player, because we need to see him take that next step.
The NFL is trying their hardest to get him over the hump.
Yep. What's the bigger statement game, Week 1 versus the Ravens or Week 9 versus the Chiefs? Do they need to come out hot against the Ravens, or do they need to just start out taking down the Chiefs at least once this season?
I'm leaning toward the Chiefs. I think if you play the Ravens close, even if you lose, you go, well, they're both 2 good teams, and it's only Week 1, and you can kind of adjust from here.
Yeah.
But once you're at Week 9, that's midpoint of the season. Chiefs, all this barring injury, Chiefs are going to be rolling. Buffalo should be rolling.
Yeah.
If you can't get is that game in Buffalo or in Kansas City?
I closed my notes. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
I was ready to move on.
It just says versus is what I have here. So I mean, there's going to be an excuse built in. Chiefs win, you go, well, the Bills will never get over the hump. If they lose, but it's on the road, it's they're in Arrowhead. Let's see them in Buffalo in January.
It's in Buffalo. Yeah, Week 9 in Buffalo, November 2nd.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to Pittsburgh. after the overreaction, after Mike Tomlin's first losing season, the Steelers draft quarterback Arch Manning, Texas, #1 overall in front of the home crowd because the draft's in Pittsburgh this year. All brought to you by Omaha Productions.
I'm going to say overreaction because I don't think Arch Manning comes out in 2026. I think he waits till 2027.
He's probably going to make more money if he stays in the way NIL is moving up and down.
I think the Manning family is looking at Arch's career as a long-term project, not a, hey, let's get him to the league ASAP.
Well, and Manning's camp has already come out and said, we want him to stay in college for 4 years to develop across those 4 years, like you're saying.
I mean, you go back to the
NIL
Parcells
aside.
script. We want to start 30 games. You want to win at least 2/3 of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to graduate. He can probably graduate in 3 years. Sat behind Ewers the last couple of years. Got some good playing time in.
Yeah.
I think this is the year that he kind of learns how to grow into a starting college quarterback. I think there's going to be draft buzz.
Yeah.
But I think he's the type that you give him another full year of college. I don't think he wins the Heisman this year.
Yeah.
There's too many talented players this upcoming season. The quarterback draft is going to be incredible. I think if you wait
him some
one
time.
more year,
Give him some
I think
time.
2027 is Manning time.
And I mean, we do this all the time, right? First you had Tank for Tua. How's that going in Miami? Then you had
They've never put an offensive line in front of him, so
and then you have
we don't
Tank,
know.
Then you had Tank for Trevor, right? Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be this ignite, next coming of Dan Marino.
Yeah, they
And
gave him a
he's-
couple of small receivers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we can't always assume, and it's because of the name.
I think
that
it's
Arch Manning
it's
isn't
an
gonna be great.
organizational thing. Like
Yeah.
if he goes to and we're talking Arch Manning. If Arch Manning goes to a terrible organization, I don't think the name value helps you at all.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Steelers, though, because their schedule is a gauntlet this year. I mean, they have just one. I'm trying to find my note. The hardest schedule.
From week 10 onwards, I see your notes. Games against the Chargers, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Lions, Browns, and Ravens again. And that's just after week 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that, couple it with the quarterback uncertainty. Is it Mason Rudolph? Is it Aaron Rodgers? People in Pittsburgh are all about Will Howard. Like, this is hype season, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, there is so much uncertainty happening. They have that challenging late season stretch. Their offense currently is one of the worst, although they're rumored to be kicking the tires on Chris Olave, which I think is a great boon for their offense as a number 2.
I'm not sure that happens.
The Saints want a day 2 pick. I think the Steelers should give up a third. I don't think they should give up a second.
If I'm the Saints, I don't take a day 2 pick for Chris Olave. No way.
That's
It's a first round pick.
That's the going
He's
rate.
your best receiver.
Injuries. He had 2,000 yards seasons, but he's had some concussion concerns. So I do think the Steelers' 2025 schedule is a gauntlet they can't survive. Tomlin's winning streak will end this year. And we'll see. I don't think it's going to be – I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be Arch Manning. But they got to figure something out. And I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is any better than Mason Rudolph at this point. And I'm not saying Mason Rudolph is
there's a
not
hot
good.
take.
Don't hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying Mason Rudolph is a good quarterback. Real quick, we got 60 seconds.
Okay.
The 2026 starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns is not currently on the roster.
Ooh, overreaction. I think he is.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
For those of us paying attention to rookie mini camps, Dylan Gabriel, dude. He can play. He can play.
I love how you have all these people saying Shador is balling out, Shador is balling out, and then everybody that's actually at training camp is like, no,
Gabriel's ahead of him.
Yeah.
Shador is staying after practice for 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
Gabriel's outplaying him during practice.
Yeah.
So
Listen, if anything, it's going to give us content. It's going to be fun to watch.
I love it.
Erie, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm signing off for Paul Adamzak, Rich Smith. Listen, if you missed any portion of the show, go back and check out the podcast. Look for the Gem City Sports Network at Gem City SN. Give us a follow, give us a comment, and we'll see you next week. Have fun.